Welcome to the OHS introductory training prepared by Grupa Górażdże for its contracting parties. When you complete this training and pass the final exam, you will be allowed to enter our premises and initiate further procedures to carry out individual tasks. At first, we want to emphasize that the life and health of all persons cooperating with Grupa Górażdże is our top priority. Our aim is to execute all tasks in accordance with safety principles. We do not tolerate deviations or shortcuts. We expect one's engagement and observance of the established rules regardless of the position held. Set an example by your way of work and respond to dangerous behavior. Lack of reaction means that you tolerate such behavior. In the following part of the training, you will be familiarized with the basic OHS principles implemented at Grupa Górażdże, as well as with main hazards and essential preventive measures set out to minimize the effect of these hazards. Please pay attention to the training's content and, upon the course's completion, observe the safety principles that you will be provided within a minute. Section 1. General Rules. If you participate in this training, it means that your employer submitted an application to issue a pass for you to enter the premises of Grupa Górażdże. You will be authorized to access the facility only with an active pass. If you pass the exam, you will go to the guard post where you will obtain your personal ID, which you need to have with you at all times. Note that apart from your personal data, the pass contains the phone number to the shift manager, which is also the emergency number at a given facility. When you bring the pass close to the reader, it will read your data and, if there are no blocks, release the turnstile. Remember, never work under the influence of alcohol or other drugs. Attention! If you enter the production area, you have to use basic personal protective equipment, work clothing and safety boots. Remember that everyone always moves across the Grupa Górażdże production area in high-visibility clothing. Class 3 from the waist up and at least Class 2 from the waist down. Moreover, we also require S3 safety boots, a 4-point chin strap hard hat and safety glasses. Your equipment should be certified, be provided with a valid expiry date, and be in good condition to ensure proper protection. Any company commencing work on a given day should report its readiness to the shift manager. It may continue work only after submitting the notification of readiness and obtaining approval from the central control room. Section 2. Pedestrian and car traffic rules. There are parking lots available in the office and production areas of the facility. In perpendicular parking spaces, it is mandatory to reverse in. Only vehicles having special authorizations, the so-called vehicle passes, are allowed to enter the premises. If your company has obtained such authorization, the vehicle driver should have the vehicle pass and present it to security guards. When you drive a vehicle, you are responsible both for yourself and for others. Never ignore traffic rules. Fasten seatbelts, observe the permissible speed, do not talk on the phone while driving, and follow road signs. We want to underscore that heavy vehicles weighing more than 3.5 tons should be equipped with a reverse buzzer system, and vehicles weighing more than 10 tons should be additionally provided with a backup camera. You have to remember that if the scope of your tasks requires access to the area of continuous operation of heavy vehicles, you should also use reflective strips, a signal light on the roof, and a flag. If you move on foot, pay special attention. If your locker room is located in the production area, and in order to access it you have to walk from the main gate in your casual clothing, move only along the designated greenway that will guide you to this room. The greenways have been determined after traffic risk assessment, and they include the safest possible passageways. When working, use the designated circulation routes. Do not use shortcuts. Do not bypass barriers and pay attention to vehicles. When walking on the stairs, always hold the railing. Various types of vehicles, from bicycles through passenger cars, loaders, forklift trucks to railway vehicles, move across the facility. While walking, you have to pay special attention to them. Always remain within the operator's field of view and react to warning signals. Choose the safest passageways. If working at a railway spur, before commencing work, go to the person supervising the spur to get additional training. Never move between the cars. Section 3. Specific hazard zones. There are numerous display boards, service signs, warning signs, mandatory signs, and prohibitory signs within the facility. Never ignore any safety signs, signals, or barriers, and strictly follow their indications. They inform about specific hazards occurring in given areas. In places where, due to process interruptions, severe hazards may occur, light and audible warning signals are installed. If an alarm triggers, you have to immediately leave the hazardous area until the alarm is cancelled. Safety hazard areas are designated and protected with appropriate signs and barriers. When working in a safety hazard area, react to any attempts of unauthorized intrusion. If you are outside of such an area, do not ignore hazard information. It is obligatory to avoid designated zones and immediately report any missing safety fence components to the supervisory staff. A special type of hazard zone is an area in which materials are handled using cranes. Never stay under a load being relocated. In production areas, there are places exposed to harmful factors such as hot microclimate, noise, and dust. Places where additional personal protective equipment is required due to high intensity and concentration of these factors are designated with mandatory signs which should be respected at all times. Works executed at lump fuel storage and transport systems are associated with exposure to biological factors. When working, wear full clothing, a half-face mask, safety glasses, and gloves. After work or during a scheduled meal break, you are required to change to clean clothing and wash the parts of your body that were in contact with lump fuel. In the nitrogen oxide reduction system, ammonia water is used. If it is released outside of the system and comes into contact with the eyes or skin, it may result in a severe burn. If you are moving within a tanker unloading station or system routing, you have to wear full work clothing, safety gloves, and safety goggles. If you smell ammonia, you have to leave the hazardous zone immediately. Within the system, we ensure safety shower and eye wash stations. You must use them in the event of contact of exposed body parts with ammonia water. Uncovered machine and equipment rotating components pose a risk of entrapment. Never remove any covers without permission and before machine shutdown. All maintenance and repair works on active equipment are strictly forbidden. Missing covers and other protections should be reported immediately. In places where rotating components are not covered due to process reasons, maintain a safe distance from the equipment which is designated by a solid line. In emergency situations requiring the equipment to be stopped without delay, use an emergency stop in the form of a red mushroom e-stop or a safety line. Within the facilities, there are also hazardous zones. They are designated with an X warning sign. In places where a hazard occurs, follow the prohibition to use open fire. Moreover, remember that any hot works require additional formalities set out for such works to be fulfilled. They include, for example, the development of a fire safety report. Places where components generating high temperatures are located are designated with warning and prohibitory signs. Do not touch the designated components with exposed body parts. Using a compressed air system for cleaning clothes in unsuitable areas is strictly forbidden. Suitable areas are clearly designated and specified. Using the prepared cleaning stations, obligatorily follow the provisions of instructions kept at the station and primarily use hearing protectors and eye protection. Never direct a stream of air towards one's face or non-covered body parts or to persons standing nearby. Section 4. Works involving particular risks. Any works carried out within the facility require safe work instructions to be developed and a work permit to be obtained from the supervisory staff of Grupa Górażdże. Prior to work, refer to specific hazards occurring in the work area and ensure proper collective and personal protective equipment. Works involving particular risks included in a general list of works are carried out in accordance with the guidelines provided in Safe Work Instructions of Grupa Górażdże. A work involving particular risk additionally requires obtaining a written notice, ensuring direct supervision, personal work breakdown, and at least double-manned staffing. Never commence work requiring a written permit without written approval. An approver from Grupa Górażdże verifies the provisions of the above-mentioned notice with the actual situation in the workplace. In cooperation with the approver and with the group executing a given task, perform an ad hoc risk assessment where the work involving particular risk is carried out. The so-called stop sheets, with which the approver is always provided, may facilitate the assessment. Answer 10 key questions together. If at least one answer is negative, do not commence work until corrective measures are taken. If you are working within the premises of Grupa Górażdże, you have to read the current list of works involving particular risks which, due to their specification, may be divided into the following categories. Subsection 4.1. Work in enclosed containers. Due to their design, enclosed containers pose various hazards, in particular in situations requiring immediate evacuation. Remember that one of the basic prerequisites of safe entry to any container is to verify whether the atmosphere inside the container is safe. That is, it contains no toxic gases, there is no oxygen deficiency, and the temperature is not too high. In order to carry out the work in a safe manner, it is essential to provide measures for rescue operation, including safeguarding workers from outside of the container. Subsection 4.2. Work at height, including rope access work. Work carried out more than 1 meter from the ground is classified as particularly hazardous and is generally called work at height. To avoid the main hazard related to such works, that is, falling from height, always properly use the required collective and personal protective equipment. If you notice any deviations regarding the condition, do not commence work or stop it and provide the work manager with your observations. Rope access work is a particularly dangerous type of work which requires special supervision and preparation. According to Grupa Górażdże internal procedures, such work should be executed only by workers having the relevant qualifications, that is, IRADA, OTTL, SOFT, or FISIT Level 1 certification for rope access workers and Level 2 certification for direct supervisory staff. Work execution may be based only on safe work instructions drawn up in agreement with the person having the aforementioned qualifications for Level 3 certification. Subsection 4.3. Works in excavations. Excavations may pose a risk not only for persons working inside, but also for those outside. Remember that they should be properly designated and fenced. Follow the basic safety rules to ensure the appropriate number of means of excavation exit, storage of excavated material in a safe distance from the excavation edge, and protection of excavation walls. Subsection 4.4. Works on power equipment. One of the most significant hazards associated with this type of works is uncontrolled activation of equipment or release of energy during repair works. To ensure safety, you must observe energy isolation procedures, the so-called LOTOTO, in force in Grupa Górażdże. Every worker carrying out repair works requiring the equipment to be stopped should have a single padlock to secure the so-called group lock box. If you are a member of a group of workers executing such works, note that when the approver has secured the equipment, Keys for padlock put on circuit breakers will be deposited in the group lock box. To ensure the highest level of safety, you have to put your padlock on the group lock box. In such a case, the equipment cannot be activated without your knowledge. Every worker, being a team member, has to put his/her individual padlock on the group lock box. Such a protection system is called the gold standard of Letoto. Subsection 4.5 Works requiring the use of a hazardous substance or mixture. If you intend to carry out works using an agent or a preparation with packaging provided with red and white pictograms, you are dealing with hazardous substance. Do not commence work until you have become familiar with the hazards and conditions of its safe execution. You will find the information required on the safety data sheet, which should be provided by the work manager. Do not pour preparations and agents into containers not specifically adapted for this purpose. If you do not know which substance you are handling or the effects of this substance on your body, do not commence work and submit your questions to your superior. Subsection 4.6 Hot works carried out in hazardous zones. The main condition to be met to commence such works is to draw up a fire safety report. On the basis of this report, the workplace should be prepared and relevant tools and, if required, clothes and additional fire protection equipment should be provided. Do not put your life and health at risk in the event of fire. Notify the persons in the affected area and the shift manager, and initiate firefighting operations only when you are able to maintain safety measures. Section 5. Emergency and hazardous situations. In such situations as an accident, a near-miss incident, fire, or a serious failure requiring immediate intervention of mechanical or electrical services, act in accordance with the internal procedures of Grupa Górażdże. Always report such events by calling the emergency number provided on the pass. If you are a witness of an occupational accident, promptly provide first aid to the victim while ensuring that the accident area poses no additional hazards, and contact the supervisory staff from Grupa Górażdże by calling the emergency number or by reporting directly to the shift manager on the condition that the victim remains under the care of another person. Introducing changes in the event area is forbidden except for the cases of saving one's life or health. If the victim needs to be dressed, use dressing materials available in the first aid stations. They are clearly designated with an informative sign. Every first aid kit is provided with first aid instructions and a list of persons, including their contact numbers, who have been trained in providing first aid. Fire hazards require immediate response. Check whether there is no one in the hazardous area and evaluate if it is possible to initiate firefighting operations. Never take on too much risk. Any fire-related situations require calling the emergency number. A fire alarm indicates the necessity to evacuate to the nearest assembly point and remain there until further instructions are provided by the incident manager. Section 6. Zero tolerance for violation of OHS provisions and regulations. Any Grupa Górażdże employee who witnesses work being carried out in a dangerous manner is obliged to stop it and initiate an investigation procedure. Work may be resumed only upon implementing an established corrective action plan and obtaining a permit from the supervisory staff of Grupa Górażdże. We do not tolerate any cases of violation of OHS provisions and regulations. The zero tolerance program implemented in Grupa Górażdże clearly points out that we do not not accept disrespecting safety requirements. If you do not meet the OHS requirements, you expose yourself not only to the loss of health or life, but also to the loss of the right to carry out work within our premises. The Zero Tolerance program assumes that 3 warnings imposed on a person result in blocking his/her pass. In cases of gross breach of regulations or exposing yourself or others to the risk of life or health, your pass will be blocked and taken away immediately. Section 7. Clean Facility, Safe Facility. A Clean Facility, Safe Facility program based on the 5S approach exists in Grupa Górażdże. If you are our subcontractor, you are obliged to take care about cleanliness and order to the same extent as Grupa Górażdże employees. Leave your work area in the same condition as it was handed over to you. Order and cleanliness are your showcase, so take care that your workplace is clean and tidy. Section 8. Safe loading, unloading of tankers. If you are a driver of a vehicle, the loading or unloading of which requires opening of hatches on top of the tanker, you should strictly follow the order to use special safety platforms, allowing the hatches to be handled in a safe manner. When you use the platforms according to the OHS instructions available on site, you are protected against falling during opening and closing of the hatches. It is particularly important to report any anomalies pertaining to the operation of the platforms immediately to Grupa Górażdże employees. Your feedback will allow us to promptly undertake corrective actions and, if required, to indicate an alternative workstation. Summary. This training presents the basic requirements in terms of OHS and describes the main hazards occurring in the facilities belonging to Grupa Górażdże. It is mandatory to refer to the detailed OHS requirements for a given area before work. It is crucial not to execute tasks off the cuff without familiarizing yourself with the hazards which are present in a given area, as well as with the rules to be observed to eliminate such hazards. Work safely.